Hi everyone, Jesse here with etrailer. Today we'll be taking a look at and I'll show you how to install the Blue Ox custom fit base plate on our 2024 Ford Bronco. There's going to be 5 main components to look into when setting up your vehicle to be flat towed. The first one is the base plate. That's just the structural mounting point for everything else to connect towed vehicle to motorhome. And they connect through the second main component, which is the tow bar. That's going to be the physical link between the two. Then we have our safety cables. These are here in case of a catastrophic disconnect. If something were to fail, these will hold everything together so you can get pulled over safely. Then we have our diode wiring. And what this does, it keeps you safe and legal when you're towing by sending a signal from the motorhome to the taillights on your towed vehicle to get all those lights to function properly. That means turn signals, taillights, and brake lights. Then we have our braking system. This is here to keep you safe out there on the road by not only relying on the brakes on the motorhome, but using the brakes on the towed vehicle to come to a stop. Here's a closer look at our base plate installed on our neighbor's Bronco. So as you can see, they essentially replace your tow hooks. So when everything's disconnected, it really looks factory. But we have our actual mounting point for our removable arm here. And then below that is a loop for your safety cables. So we'll get everything disconnected. I'll slip the safety cable off, then pull our pin out of our tow bar. And as I said, these arms are removable. You just pull the spring back, quarter turn, and it pops right out. The base plate comes included with these little rubber caps that will slip in there. That's going to keep road debris and corrosion from forming in there, just to make those arms very easy to get in and out. The base plate does come with a mounting bracket for your 6-pole wiring and your breakaway switch, and those will mount somewhere in the center over there. I didn't use them. I prefer having them off to the side like this, especially with my breakaway switch. I can turn it away. That's going to keep that nice clean factory look. But with the Bronco's bumper, you have plenty of choices on where to mount things, so I just didn't use the included ones, but that's really up to you. One thing I would look into before purchasing all of your flat tow components is if you need a high-low adapter or not. And with the Bronco, there's so many different trim levels that your height may differ depending on your trim. But a good rule of thumb with these, since they replace the tow hooks, you can just go outside, measure from the ground to about the center of your tow hook. And that'll be a very close estimate of where your base plate will end up. And then I'll go to my motorhome, measure from the ground to the center of the pinhole, and we want those numbers to be as close as possible. So with our motorhome setup, it sits pretty low to the ground, so we needed about a 10-inch high-low adapter to get that raised to keep it level with this. But again, that's just another good thing to make sure that you get everything that you need all in one purchase. This base plate will work with almost any tow bar out there on the market. Today we do have it paired up with a Blue Ox, but if you're using a different brand, it'll work. You just may need to purchase some adapter ends for your tow bar to make that fit in it as good as it can get. So if you have any questions or concerns about if it will work with your tow bar, or if you have any questions about the base plate at all, feel free to reach out to us. As for the installation, it's honestly not too difficult with this. It does involve quite a bit of cutting out of a bracket to get the base plate to fit into place. So if that's not something that you're looking to do yourself, maybe you don't have the time, the space, or the tools to get it done, check out our dealer locator. You can find someone local to you that would be happy to get this installed for you. If you are looking to see how this gets set up, then follow along and I'll walk you through the process. We'll begin our installation by removing these plastic covers that go around our tow hook. They're just held in by some push pin fasteners, so it helps to have a tool like this, or you can just use a flathead screwdriver. You just want to pull the center piece out, and then the whole thing should pop out. So there's 2 down there, and 2 up inside of it here. And now we should be able to work this out of place. And then anything we do on one side, we will repeat the same thing on the other side. Before we start removing the bolts holding our bumper on, you want to come up here. I won't be able to show you, but there's a wire plug right here There's a tab that you can kind of feel for. Push down on it and pull that out. So there's what it looks like. There's just a tab there that you'll push in and then separate the plug. Now this bumper is quite heavy, so I'd recommend grabbing an extra set of hands. I have my best friend John here to help me out. There's going to be 3 15mm bolts on both sides. I've removed 2 on the other side and then loosened 1 just to hold it in place for now. I'll get these 3 taken out. And then me and John will switch places so I can take that last one out. And once we get this off, we'll set it aside. Now this is the back side of the bumper that we just removed, and we're going to take off our tow hooks. So they're just held in now by a 10mm bolt. Make sure you're holding on to the tow hook on the bottom. And we'll set that aside. We're not going to be reusing these. Now we need to remove this bracket here. So there's 4 bolts holding it in. They're going to be 13mm. We'll remove both sides, and we are going to be reinstalling these. Now on the side of our frame here, there's going to be a hole. We need to make that a little bit bigger, so we're going to step it up to a 1/2 inch with a 1/2 inch drill bit and drill that out. We're going to do this on both sides. Now we have those brackets that we removed because we need to cut out this section here. So this is one already cut. It took quite a while with an angle grinder. What I did was cut across here, then down. I kind of scratched it this way. That way I could bend it and take the entire piece out. I got this one marked up and I'm about to cut it. As I said, this metal is pretty thick, so make sure you have a pretty nice angle grinder to cut into it, and just be slow and careful. Once you have both brackets cut out, I just went over it with a file, kind of cleaned up any sharp edges. Then I also used some black spray paint just to help protect our metal here. But once you have that done, you can slip it back onto our bumper and reinstall it using those bolts that we took out of it. We can take our base plate and slide it into the opening in our bumper. Get that pushed in. Then we'll take a bolt with a flat washer and a lock washer, slide it through that hole that we drilled out. Make sure all of your holes are lined up. Get it slid through all the way. On the other side, you're going to have a flat washer and a lock nut. But before we do that, we're going to put some red thread locker on the threads to make it secure. Now we'll tighten that down with a 19mm socket and wrench. Now we'll take a torque wrench and torque that hardware down to the specification in the instructions. Now we can reinstall our bumper. Once again, grab an extra set of hands because it is heavy. But get this slid past our base plate here. Get your holes to line up. And Get one bolt threaded on. That's going to hold it up so we can get the rest of our hardware on. Now we need to install our permanent safety cables. So what I'm going to do is take the skid plate down. That's going to give us more space to work underneath. So just 4 15mm bolts. We'll take the front two all the way off. And then these back two you can just loosen up. And then pull your skid plate forward. And we'll set it aside. We're ready to install our permanent safety cables, and these are just here in case of a catastrophic disconnect. They'll kind of hold everything together. So what we need to do is wrap it around a sturdy part of the frame and then also connect it to our base plate. On the bottom of the base plate there is a loop to connect your quick link to. So I'm going to wrap it around this piece of the frame here. This wheel well liner just has a couple push pin fasteners that you can take out to make it easier. Pull that down to our loop. Then we'll take the quick link and connect both ends. Slip both ends through it and then tighten it down. Once you have it installed, you'll probably want to zip tie it up just to make sure it's not hanging down or hitting anything, just to give it a cleaner install. Now once you have all of your other flat toe components installed and everything's back together, that's going to do it for our look at and installation of the Blue Ox custom fit base plate on our 2024 Ford Bronco.